Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Division Z podcast. I am COD Zombies HQ's voice doppelganger.
Sounds legit.
And I am K Cosmic.
And yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Division Z podcast. I don't know what kind of intro that was, but we're joined once again by COD Zombies HQ. What's up,
Good
man?
to be back, guys. Good to be back. Long time no see. There's a lot happened since we last talked, several dozen episodes ago. So it's good to be talking with you guys again.
Definitely, man. Cold War Zombies is in a very great state right now, and we figured this would be a great time to bring you back on the podcast and just talk about Cold War Zombies and how just big it is right now. It's bigger than multiplayer for some people right now. So
yeah, definitely.
I think without further ado, we'll just jump into it.
Zombies is popping right now when the multiplayer community is complaining about zombies getting too much content. That's how you know it's doing good.
There you go.
Here's the thing. Me and Jason have talked about this on a previous episode of the podcast, but everything multiplayer gets, we get.
Definitely.
Because we have our onslaught maps, we have weapons, all that good stuff. We have all of that. They're getting the least amount of content in the whole game. Like, obviously, like they'll get fire team maps every now and again, but even later in the future, we'll probably get more of them.
Oh, yeah.
Though I will say, like, that is true only to a certain extent, because in order to unlock certain in-season weapons like the street sweeper, like the new entrenchment tool melee weapon, you've got to play multiplayer, which means all those weapons I'm never going to earn. I'm not touching multiplayer.
I can definitely understand that. It's like, I want the samurai sword, right? The wakizashi, but I don't want to get 2 assassinations or executions, whatever they're called, in 15 different games. I want to have a way to earn that in zombies, and I would say that is the only downside to what's going on right now. But
yeah, it's weird, right? Everything is shared between the modes except that one specific thing that you can only unlock in multiplayer that can be used throughout the whole game, right? It's inconsistent for some reason. I don't know why they do it either. Right, you can make it if it's for like a time investment thing, right? You want to invest a certain amount of time in our game in order to earn this free piece of DLC content. Then make a similarly like extended challenge for zombies, right? I don't know if they think it's because zombies can be glitched, right? If you'll sit up in a glitch spot somewhere and rip zombies
but
apart,
the thing is,
that's why. But
people hack in
really care that
anyways.
Much? Yeah, exactly. Like.
Right, but there's a difference between glitching and hacking, right? There's a difference between hacking and glitch, like it's sitting in a glitch spot in a zombies match, right? One's hurting people, the other one's not really hurting anybody.
Maybe, well, if they do all that stuff with zombies, right? I'm guessing they want a reason for people to go over to multiplayer. So maybe by doing that, they're pushing people over to multiplayer and just being like, oh yeah, try out the multiplayer. And then people are like, I'm going to unlock these weapons and never touch it again.
Well, I mean, there's that, but I think that's also just a continuation from what Modern Warfare did, because Modern Warfare had the same thing, right? Where if you didn't unlock certain weapons in the Battle Pass, like if you just didn't play that one season enough, you could later earn that weapon through a multiplayer challenge. So you could either say, yeah, it's pushing more people to go to multiplayer because they know zombies is better this year, or it's just a straight up like, okay, they're just a repeat of Modern Warfare, because Black Ops Cold War is the Treyarch's version of Modern Warfare in a certain degree, if you know what I'm saying, because you have the same battle pass system, you have the same store system and lobbies and all that kind of stuff. So
it's the first time them trying out this system with zombies, and I mean it's great because zombies has gotten a lot of content, but there's still some kinks that I'd like to see them work out, right?
Oh yeah. It's one of those things where zombies has never been perfect, but Cold War Zombies, because of getting so much attention, a lot of, you could make the argument that it's pretty close. Like, it's pretty close to being perfect at the moment where you have like so much content being pushed out, and a lot of people, I could even see people make the argument that this could be better than Black Ops 3 if we keep going with what we're doing right now.
I can definitely see that. I'd say pump the brakes on the perfect comment, simply because the amount of content in the game at release with one zombies map is unacceptable. I compared to future last releases of zombies games. I think that's the only part that I say, if there was maybe two maps at release, and then we had this content cycle, fair enough. But one map at release we haven't had since World at War. That's kind of where it was kind of disappointing. But we made it work, and I think the zombies community, even though it wasn't a lot of content, the zombies community embraced it, and it rocketed to the top because of it, of how good that map was. So,
in a way, I kind of feel like with the way the zombies community embraced Cold War zombies and Die Maschine is kind of the way that maybe Treyarch expected the community to embrace Black Ops 4. Because Black Ops 4 was, I mean, without any doubt, different, experimental, controversial. There's a lot to Black Ops 4. And there's a lot to Cold War zombies as well. So I think with the community not liking Black Ops 4 is the comparator, as Cosmic and I like to bring Black Ops 4 up on the podcast many times, because it's such a good game to compare Cold War to and other things to, that this is the way that Treyarch does new. Treyarch can do new and good things again, and the community just loves it. So there's definitely, I think, because Black Ops 4 was received so poorly, Cold War was received super well, and I feel like Treyarch was like, that's
nice.
It's like a breath of fresh air,
Yeah, Black Ops 4 died, so Cold War can live. It almost feels that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Bingo.
I was saying on Twitter a few days ago, funnily enough, that I think Black Ops 4 is one of the best things that happened to zombies. Because it was such a low period where people were just not invested into the game. The community was more divided than ever, I would say. And Treyarch really knew what they need to fix with that game because of all the criticism and all the negative feedback. Like, we didn't like the new perk system. We didn't like being limited. We didn't like being overpowered. People have their opinions, right? There's so many back and forths and things contradicted each other. And I think Treyarch really just sat down like, okay, we just need to start a clean slope, take all the good stuff that people like. This whole perk system, only 4 perks, let's get rid of that. Let's just give them it all, okay? They want it, let's just give it to them, right? And with Black Ops 4 just being so, again, just kind of, well, I won't say bad, because I feel like the game, and it's okay, the game works, right? The game works, and that's always good, I guess. But Cold War, I don't think we'd get Cold War if it wasn't for Black Ops 4. I think if Black Ops 4 we didn't have, I think we'd just get another, Black Ops 3. If you guys kind of get what I mean, which isn't a bad thing, but Cold War is just so much of a just fresh air,
Yeah. To pick up on something you said there, I think is actually something that I thought about a bunch too, is the feeling of overpowered, where in Black Ops 4 you felt like overpowered, like you had so many get out of jail free cards in terms of your ability, in terms of Wraith Fire, in terms of Elixir.
Yeah.
But it didn't really feel all that fun being overpowered.
Yeah.
You upgrade your tier 5 perks in Cold War, man. You're a walking tank already in Cold War before they continue to add more content.
Definitely.
But the difference is it's fun to be overpowered in Cold War, right? It doesn't feel like it's not challenging anymore. You've still got to maneuver and run around, and you still got to use certain guns if you want to go far in certain modes, and it's still challenging, but you're overpowered at the same time. It's managed to somehow straddle that line.
Definitely.
I think it's because of, honestly, the way the zombies work in Cold War. The higher up they get in the rounds, the harder they're gonna hit, which I think is very interesting, because I was practicing for Zombies World Championship because I'm doing one of the challenges for the tournament, and it's a bare bones Die Maschine challenge for context. And at round 31, you are a 2-hit down without armor, without jug. So the game will gradually make the zombies a little bit stronger to balance the fact that you're super overpowered. And, you have your armor that can help you out, but, if you're not careful, your armor takes too many hits and yada, yada, yada. It's not like the World War II zombies armor system, which was my biggest concern going into Cold War. That was going to be like that. And I'm glad it's not. But I think that's part of the reason why it feels so good to be overpowered, but it also feels good to have that challenge.
Yeah.
Right, and it gives you that option to get challenged, especially if you don't want to use some of the more, I guess the elements of the game that make it a little bit more easy, like armor and a bunch of perks and upgrades and things like that. So
I feel like with Cold War as well, in the future they can make hard maps, because like for me, D Machine was really easy just because of the ray gun. Like that ray gun strat at Penthouse is, after you get down, it's clockwork, Then going to Firebase Z or the Ray K and having to learn that weapon and all the funny stuff can happen that with mimics and stuff. That map to me was actually not challenging, but it was definitely a lot harder. Like, once you get past like round 60, you constantly get downed. So the game is still challenging, but it still maintains that you feel like a god because of all your perks you have. Like we talked about this on last week's podcast as well, where so many of the perks in the game have other perks inside them, like Speed Cola, Time Slip, Elemental Pop, Electric Cherry, Juggernog, Dying Wish to a certain extent. Not really, but kind of. Like, when you calculate it all out.
Yeah.
Good?
Well, no, I was just going to say, if anything, because you were talking about Dying Wish, right? I made a video about Frenzied Guard the other day, and Frenzied Guard kind of has that effect of Dying Wish where you're invulnerable to a degree because only your armor will take damage if you have armor.
Yeah.
And so then you can get out of there, and it's really interesting to see what they did with that, and I'm glad they did that instead of just being like, okay, here's just copy paste perk. It's their way to introduce some parts of the older games into the new, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And Frenzy Guard itself, like I'm not like you said, I actually experienced that invulnerability effect when I was playing Outbreak with it, and it was like, panic move, you get surrounded, you pop Frenzied Guard, and I'm not dying. Okay, let's try to fight our way out of here. Exactly. As the zombies just pound away at the armor rather than at your actual health. So it was a nice surprise with Frenzy Guard. I always run it when I'm playing Outbreak.
Same.
Probably less when I'm playing just regular survival. I usually run Ether Shroud then, but
question for you guys.
Great. Yeah, what's up?
Question for you guys. What do you prefer as of right now? Outbreak or normal base zombies? For me, as much as I love Outbreak, for some reason I found myself on D Machine all the time, and I'm having such a good time. I don't know why, but I'm just going back to D Machine and playing it.
I think for me recently, it's got to be Outbreak, just because it's new. It's a brand new zombies experience that we've never seen before, number one. And number two, I just find that earning crystals and Ethereum crystals, the flawless and refined ones, I feel like, I don't know, for whatever reason, for me, it's easier to do on Outbreak. Like,
it 100% is, man. It's you earn crystals way faster on Outbreak than you do playing survival, no doubt there.
So that's main reasons why I'm having a little bit more fun with Outbreak as of right now.
I think for me, it's as weird as it is to say, it almost feels like you have more freedom on zombie survival maps than you do on Outbreak. Because
I can kind of get that.
Because on Outbreak, the gameplay loop is basically the same thing, every single round. It's spawn, get to your objective, get out. Next map. Spawn, run to your objective, get out. Sure, you can do the side missions, but after, the first few rounds, there's really no point to doing the side missions anymore. You're already loaded up with all the gear you need from getting the actual round objective completion bonus.
Fair enough.
Whereas on the survival map, it's like, all right, man, this round, let's hold out in this location. Next round, this is a dumb location. It's like a 5x5 box in a bunker in Firebase Z. All right, let's hold out there, man. Screw it. Let's see if we can do it, right? And so in that way, it almost feels like you're moving around a lot more within an enclosed environment in a in a survival map, rather than Outbreak, where it's like zip to the objective, get out, zip to the objective, get out, over and over again. That's not to say it's not fun. It's just I kind of enjoy that experience of just picking random dumb spots to hold out in survival maps than just constantly doing objectives in Outbreak.
I can definitely understand that. I mean, I tried streaming the other day because I'm trying to get Dark Ether in the game, and I figured, oh, you know what? Let me try to get Gold Viper for my MP5 in Outbreak only, right? And so, just playing Outbreak, I got all the elites and special enemy kills, all those camos pretty quickly, but then everything else was just, that was boring. Like, I cannot stress this enough. If you guys are camo grinding, stick to normal zombies, because there are so many zombies scattered around the map, and the world is just going to keep getting harder and harder and harder, and it's a pain to try to camo grind on Outbreak. But no,
Outbreak
I definitely
is great for crystals, like we mentioned. Garbo for weapon and regular XP.
Very garbage. I normally get the rapid kills first and like all that kind of stuff, and it's like I can't even get rapid kills because there's not enough zombies together in the horde because everyone's scattered out. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah. I think the one thing Outbreak is good for in like terms of like getting camos is the elite kills. Like I find myself in that game mode, it's so much faster than zombies, but you might as well just go on zombies and get your like kills there as you're doing your other stuff. Right. That's one thing I found. But with Outbreak as well, I think more casuals prefer like the game mode Outbreak compared to normal zombies. So people that don't really play zombies a lot and all
I've
that.
noticed that
like
too.
because my girlfriend hates normal zombies. Like she just thinks, oh, why would you want to sit in a corner for 10 hours? Like I feel like you have to enjoy zombies to get it, like you have to enjoy just like doing the same thing over and over and over and over. But for Outbreak, where there's constantly like an objective and something to do, and you're trying to move forward and forward and forward, I think it's a lot better for casuals, and it kind of tells them what to do. Kind of like how the Pack-a-Punch, the whole sequence on D Machine, but to a greater extent. What do you guys think about that whole?
I agree. Yeah, I like it because you can see it from a perspective of somebody that doesn't play zombies very often, where they're dropped into a map that they already know if they already played Fireteam in multiplayer, so they already know the map, right? There isn't anything to learn. You're not really discovering anything new. You're given what you have to do already. You're saying there's a big marker on the map. Go here, do this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Whereas in the regular zombie survival map, it's just good luck. Right here, you're dropped in, and if you don't know anything about the mode, you're going to be very confused. Right. So in that way, 100%, I do agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think not just with Outbreak, but like Cosmic was mentioning, it tells you how to pack a punch. Zombies in general now is a noob friendly and new player friendly game mode with added difficulty. And we mentioned earlier, Treyarch is now able to straddle that line between you're overpowered and it's also challenging. So new players can play a few rounds of Outbreak or Die Maschine, and then they'll kind of get the gist of it, and then they'll try to gear up, burn the crystals, do all that kind of stuff. And there's definitely a much more fulfilling progression to zombies this year, which is something that we really needed. We really needed that. And
well, to cut you off quickly, because you mentioned something I think is really important too, to Cosmic's point, is when you actually complete an Outbreak objective and you pop that anomaly, there is everything you need to progress to get stronger in a zombies match in a 10-foot area or a 10-meter area. Right. Rather than a zombie, you won't know where different perk machines are or where PAP is or the armor stations. If you're a new player going in a zombies map, that might as well be hieroglyphics to you. Right. So at least in Outbreak, everything you need is right in front of you when you pop the anomaly after completing an objective.
Definitely. Very, very true.
And I have a comment in my chat actually saying that Outbreak is for the Warzone players. And I can definitely see that. Like, I could see, down the line, Outbreak being maybe not called Outbreak, but eventually Treyarch will get to the point like, okay, let's release this free-to-play zombies experience to get players in. And I could potentially see them doing that.
Well, they did when Outbreak came out, remember?
Well, yeah, true. That is true, actually. They had it free for
who's to say they won't do it again? Because it is literally Zombies Warzone in a way.
Right. Well, and remember, true, they also did that, if we want to say that, almost to a certain degree, Outbreak might be following in the footsteps of something like Blackout, right? From Black Ops 4. Blackout paid. There was not free to play. You had to buy the game in order to play it. It too had multiple, times where it'd go free to play for a certain amount of time, then it would not. And Blackout directly led to Warzone being free to play. Yeah. So I mean, and with Treyarch already stating that if the feedback of Outbreak is good, they're already talking about including it in future products.
Yeah.
Then, I can definitely see them adding some kind of cooperative element to their free to play model, right?
Absolutely. I mean, like I think I don't think a lot of people realize how huge this is for not just zombies but Call of Duty, because the more and more people are going to be ragging on multiplayer because of the skill-based matchmaking, and you know, the Warzone hackers are getting to be a bigger and bigger problem every day. More and more people are going to have that sour taste in their mouth for what made Call of Duty. I mean, I'd like to say zombies made Call of Duty big, but really it's like the whole multiplayer and, you know, memorable campaigns that started to make Call of Duty big. But then the zombies community sort of rose up and, you know, became its own entity. But now is the time where, because everyone just is slowly but surely hating it, for lack of a better term, zombies can be that game mode where it's like, well, if people glitch or people hack in zombies, that's not hurting me. They're just being dumb. You know,
yeah, exactly.
Skill-based matchmaking.
There's no skill-based matchmaking in zombies, and you know, if they want to bring back grief, you know, then there's multiplayer integrated into zombies.
And beyond that, with the integration between the two modes, before, if you were going to play zombies, it'd be like, yeah, I'm playing zombies and I'm earning like weapon levels to use in zombies, which I don't play very often, so who cares? Like, there's no sense of progression there. Now, a multiplayer guy playing zombies for the first time goes, really? I can earn like legit weapon levels and rank up for multiplayer in zombies?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That it provides a little bit of incentive to play the mode where you never would have had that before for those kinds of players.
Yeah, I mean, it's Call of Duty Zombies, or I should say, zombies will save Call of Duty if multiplayer and Warzone continues down the path that it continues down, with harsher scale-based matchmaking. The Warzone hackers don't get dealt with. People start to get angry. People start to leave. And what's left? Zombies.
Yeah. Zombies, yeah.
There's a high chance that could happen. And we're seeing little inklings of it now.
I think if zombies is to be taken to the next level in terms of a greater terms of reach, it needs to reintroduce some kind of competitive co-op game mode. Something like Grief or some other substitute that makes you battling other players in some kind of way. If not directly, like not PvP, but player versus PvPvE in a certain degree, right? You can't kill other players, but you're competing with other players in some way, whether that's to stay alive, whether that's for number of kills, right? Who knows what they decide to do. But I think to a certain degree, to get more people in from Warzone and multiplayer to try the mode, you have to introduce some kind of competitive aspect to the game mode rather than just the survival, right?
Absolutely. I 100% agree, because I think with esports, with every year getting bigger and bigger, you're going to have people putting an eye, you know, keeping an eye on zombies, you know, that side game mode that people go like, oh, you know, this is really good this year. And, you know, we already have events like Zombies World Championship that's happening this May, a esports zombies event. So it's definitely a market. It's still, I would say, a newer market for esports zombies, but it's definitely a market out there that has so much potential. And if Treyarch does release a competitive game mode, you know, they have COD support for it, which I think is a huge thing. It would just take the cake. It would just be one of the greatest things Call of Duty could do.
And give that people, again, a sense of competition that's kind of missing in zombies, right? Zombies has never really been about competition. It's been about just survival and having fun, which is great, you know, which is awesome, which is why we're all here in the first place.
Right.
But if it has to evolve in order to be taken to the next level. And that doesn't mean leaving just regular zombies co-op behind. That means in addition to that co-op, adding something that would make that co-op competitive.
Absolutely. Zombies can grow in so many different ways. It's like a skill tree almost, you know? Do you want to take, you know, when you want to buy these skills, you want to buy these skills. And you know what? Why not buy all of them? You know, I think Treyarch has the resources to, you know, expand the roots of zombies further out and absorb all the nutrients of the ripe potential in the soil that is Call of Duty Zombies. So it's esports, it's new game modes like Outbreak, it's challenges, community events, it's just all this stuff that they can throw in there and make it really fun.
Though I will say, as great as Cold War has been in terms of content, kind of freshening up the zombies mode and introducing new things in the form of Outbreak, the game mode specifically, I as great and as perfect I think a competitive co-op game mode would be within the Cold War environment in an ecosystem. I don't think it's going to happen in this game. I think they're already too stretched out as it is in terms of Outbreak content, in terms of regular survival map content.
Yeah, that's fair
in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. It's a little, but the future, right?
Definitely.
We've already talked about, I don't know if you've seen, but recently some prominent leakers in the zombies community have been talking about a zombies only project that has been recently been found out to be started at one of the developers that work on Call of Duty. What is that? Is it going to be something disappointed like, hey, we made zombies mobile, so enjoy that? Or is it a regular zombie standalone experience that we've all been wanting for forever? Right? And that will be the game to finally introduce that competitive co-op aspect that will hopefully bring in the mainstream non-zombies audience to pick up a zombie standalone game.
100% agreed.
I mean,
but Cosmic, you're gonna say something?
If they do that, what do we want? The Cold War engine or the Warzone engine, like the Modern Warfare engine? I think as well as it kind of depends, right? Because like I think Modern Warfare's engine feels a lot more refined than Cold War's engine, but Cold War engine suits zombies so well.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you guys have jumped into Warzone recently and like tried to kill the zombies on Verdansk, but that feels weird. It feels weird. Like, it's off. Like, the zombies go down quickly, which they should, but like, it's weird. Like, you don't feel like you're killing zombies. You don't like. It just doesn't feel right. So I would definitely prefer the Cold War engine.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I watched some gameplay of it, and I know exactly what you mean in terms of it. Just it doesn't feel like zombies. It just feels like they could be anything, right? They could be just walking other players that are just bots, and they kind of feel the same. Yeah, it doesn't have that personality per se that COD Zombies does. Though personality being one of the main criticisms of Cold War.
Yes,
definitely.
Right?
Here's the thing about that. I just think, like I love the characters. Don't get me wrong. I love Dempsey. I love Nikolai. I love everybody in the crew. But did it? Like it matters who you play as to get the personality, right? And you want to like experience all the funny lines and oh, Nikolai is very drunk Russian and all that kind of stuff. But like you go to zombies and you play the Easter egg, you do some high round attempts, it's never really mattered who you played as. And I think, with Treyarch giving players the ability to choose who they play as, granted, they don't have many voice lines, but they still have voice lines at least. They're not silent. You still got Adler going like, yeah, killed a zombie, which obviously that's not like a super funny line like Dempsey or Richtofen would say, but, at least the characters still have a little bit of personality to them. And I think, as we introduce more characters with the new seasons, like we had Stitch in season 1, Naga season 2, they have their own unique voice lines that they bring to the table in zombies that are kind of funny. And it's like, to me, what's the difference between hearing that over and over again and hearing something from Richtofen over and over again? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Although I will say the criticism of personality, the lack thereof in Cold War extends beyond just who you're playing as and extends to the maps, the maps themselves.
Yeah. I was just talking about the characters as one topic. Right. Yeah, okay. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And I can sympathize with that idea that Cold War lacks the personality of prior Zombies games because to a certain degree it does, man. Like if you play even Black Ops 4 Zombies maps, like Blood of the Dead or one of the Chaos DLC maps, which I personally don't particularly enjoy, though Ancient Evil's probably, everyone can agree, the best of those DLC maps.
Agreed.
It has personality. You might not like the map, you might not like the crew, but man, it creates an atmosphere when you play that. Any of those Black Ops 4 or Black Ops 3 Zombies maps, that it doesn't exist in the same way in Cold War. That doesn't mean the maps in Cold War are bad. They're great. Right. They're a lot of fun. It doesn't have the same personality, which is true.
And I think the main reason why I think a lot of people say there's a lack of personality is, I just thought of this right now. We've seen military bases before in Call of Duty. Like, everything is like, like, I get it. It's like the Requiem strike team. Yes, we're landing at the site and we're going to go to the objective and shut it down. And, very military-esque pacing and there's a word I'm looking for, tone to it all. And I feel like because we've had, in campaigns previously, not just zombies, it's like go to the enemy's base and, we got to infiltrate. It's got that kind of feel to it that we've seen hundreds of times, where a map like Ancient Evil is literally the personification of Greek mythology in the game. And that's what makes Ancient Evil a fantastic map. I was just talking about this on a YouTube video the other day on overrated, underrated. Ancient Evil is great, but I still think it's an underrated map because, number one, it's in Black Ops 4, and number two, it's beautiful atmosphere, and what it did for the Chaos storyline, I think it made the Chaos storyline have a little bit more validity, which we never got to see pan out. But yeah, no, I can definitely understand the argument where people say that Cold War Zombies isn't all quite there with the personality.
I think the perfect way to describe Cold War Zombies is okay, right? Black Ops 3, we're gonna use food as an example, right? Like, let's say there's two steaks, right? They both look really good. They look really nice, okay?
Yes,
two great steaks. Black Ops 3 has seasoning on it. Black Ops Cold War doesn't. They're both still really good, but Black Ops 3 has that seasoning with the story, the whole story and the atmosphere, like Horizon Dragon.
Okay.
When you walk, when you go down to the bottom dragon head, and then you get all the things set up, and then you're floating in the air and stuff, and then all that stuff. There's such an atmosphere of that map.
Oh yeah.
But then Cold War, you're just going through Firebase Z. It's a cool map. It's fun. It's one of the better maps we've had in a while. I would say, at least since I don't know. As far as overall map design and stuff, probably Gold Crovy for me personally.
Besides Chaos, it's the first original map we've had in
exactly.
the universe since Gorod, so.
There you go.
Well, exactly, right? And I like it for that. I think myself personally with story and stuff, I haven't moved on from it because I would love to play as Richtofen again, But
you still might before Cold War is over. So they release Maxis as an operator. You just wait.
Maybe.
That's exactly the point that I'm trying to make to people. If you can play as Samantha Maxis in the Firebase Z Easter egg and save Samantha Maxis at the same time, it does not matter at all who you play as. Give me Tank Dempsey, give me Nikolai. Let's do this.
We're gonna see Tricky Rick again before the end of Cold War. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Rick.
There's gonna be what they're gonna do is they're gonna release each the Primus and Ultimus characters, right? And they're going to sell it for the maximum amount of COD points because they know they can make absolute bank off it.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be seeing Ultimus and Primus again, but we will be seeing this versions of Richtofen again. Though to ride off of that point there, I think the reason, part of the reason that everyone says Cold War Zombies maps themselves lack personality is, hopefully this is going to be true, is the same reason that we're getting more COD Zombies maps over this season than we would have in DLC packs otherwise. True. And that's because of their new, and I talked about this in a video I posted yesterday, of their new way of constructing Zombies maps is going back to the way they did it in in World at War and in Black Ops 1, using campaign assets as a base to construct Zombies maps. Firebase Z is basically a campaign map that was morphed around a little bit, threw some assets here and there, and wow, now it's a Zombies map, right?
Yeah.
They didn't do that in Black Ops 2, in Black Ops 3, and in Black Ops 4. There was pretty much, those maps were comprised of original assets that were made specifically for Zombies maps. Mm-hmm. That's why they felt so unique. But in Cold War, most of the assets we see are just ported from the campaign, so they're not made for zombies. They're just
interesting point
added into the map to create it a little bit faster than they would have been able to make original assets.
I mean, I'm all right with if they take stuff from campaign and stuff. There's a whole argument about remakes of Black Ops 4. Obviously, I didn't really like paying for remakes. Alpha Omega, I didn't really like Alpha Omega. Tag Toten, I thought was a great map. I thought they really improved on a lot of aspects of it. But, it's the same thing you've done before, right? But with a campaign mission for me, like you haven't experienced zombies in that campaign before. Like you haven't played zombies on that like mission or multiplayer map, whatever, right? So when they pour over and put effort into it and make it its own zombies map, I see that as like brand new, like fresh content for me. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen some arguments saying like with content and stuff, like they're just reusing stuff constantly. But if they can produce maps like you're saying they're going to, hopefully, by just using campaign stuff, let them do it, because people, a lot of people are really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's ultimately, like, if we could say this, it has to be a transaction that hasn't been proven yet. The transaction is we're going to include more reused assets. The zombies maps will feel less original because we're using campaign assets as a base for all of our maps, but because of that, we're able to pump out maps quicker, and you'll get more new zombies content as a result. Now, the maps that we've got so far have less personality than maps we've seen in the past. For sure. I 100% agree. The question is, will the other end of the bargain be fulfilled throughout the DLC seasons here in Cold War? We had one map to start, the game's release, not enough, unacceptable. One map released a few months after the game's original release, Firebase Z. Okay, good start. If we're going to see Berlin here at the end of season 2, does that mean we get a new zombies map every season here in Cold War? If so, then transaction fulfilled. Less original maps, less original like personality, more content.
Yeah.
Right? So the maps will have less personality. We don't know if the trade-off is going to be 100% more content as a result.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, the thing is too is it doesn't, like, I'm reading the chat right now. It's like my chat is saying, putting campaign stuff and basing that onto new zombies areas is completely fine, because now you're using it for it's reused obviously, but you're using it for zombies specifically, and how can that mesh into the feel of Call of Duty Zombies? And like the whole thing with the Berlin map, it's going to be really interesting to see, because number one, there's a lot of historical, I think, context that can go along with it. You know, if it's the map takes place like right next to the Berlin Wall or something like that, I think that could be a really interesting site for a zombies map. Admittingly, I don't know too much about the Berlin leaks because I try to stay away from leaks. But
well, there's actually, on that point, there's really, besides that Berlin will be a map that was originally released as part of a leak before the game came out, there's been no actual leaks about the map itself. What we know is
just the location, pretty much,
because of the intel in the game that's constantly referencing it now. That's the reason everybody's very confident. Because just like the intel in Die Maschine really was, this would be a location in the South Pacific, Vietnam. It's Firebase Z. It's doing that again in Firebase Z. That intel referencing a Berlin map. So,
see, admittingly, I haven't really read through a lot of the intel, so I didn't know this came from the intel. So that's cool. That's cool, actually, to really think about it. That Treyarch is like, here you go. Here's a little teaser. You know, here's what's gonna happen next, guys. You know, that's cool. I need to read more intel, I think.
Yeah. That's so it's been interesting in that way. Like, we knew the map would be Berlin since the release of the game, if the leaks are to be believed, but Treyarch themselves are also foreshadowing it via their intel.
That's awesome. That was great. Treyarch's, honestly, with zombies, they're hitting it out of the park.
Yeah, they're killing it this year.
And all I ask is that we just, like you're saying, the transaction is fulfilled. Just keep going. Just keep doing what you're doing.
New stuff, man. Keep pumping it out, baby.
Oh yeah.
Because I think if they keep doing it this rate, and by the end of the game's life cycle, we have like getting hopeful. How many seasons were Modern Warfare? Was it 6? I think there were 6 seasons. Yeah, we have 6 maps in this game by the end of it, along with Outbreak. Hopefully, right? That's best case scenario.
Yep.
Best zombies game, hands down. Best zombie game, 100%.
Definitely.
The engine's great. The way they're handling perks is great. Like, weapons are kind of meh, but ammo mods like make up for it. The maps are really good, lacking a bit of personality, but they're really good, and they're coming out somewhat consistently. And they do this thing with the seasons and game modes. 100% would be better than Black Ops 3. 100%.
It has the potential.
And hey, Zombies Chronicles 2, maybe they just give us all the old maps. Who knows? Like, maybe.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter say they should add transit to Outbreak, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good fun idea.
I did a whole video about that, so it's very interesting to see how that idea progressed of transit and Outbreak, where it emerged in the same leak that told us Firebase Z would be the name of DLC 1, same leak that told us Berlin would be a DLC map, and it's the same leak that told us what a bunch of perks and stuff would be in Cold War before the game was released. And it included the tagline, "Transit won't be there at launch." That's where the idea of transit came from. It all originates from that leak. Where before you read that and you're like, okay, but why would they remake transit in Cold? It doesn't make sense, right? But if you start to rationalize what transit was and what it represents, it almost feels like a pseudo predecessor to Outbreak to a certain degree.
Yeah,
an open map, different areas right between the big locations, right? Huge map. You could see now, start to visualize how something like a transit layout would work in Cold War via Outbreak.
It would work so well.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be.
And here's the thing as well.
Would be good.
Yeah, here's the thing as well, right? They add transit to the game. You want town, farm, bus depot, all them smaller maps. Who's to say that they won't add them in the survival maps? Dude, it wouldn't take a lot.
Great,
right?
Like I personally, I don't think it'd take a lot. Like I think they could do that in like, I don't know how long it takes to do stuff, but like all of it's there for them to cut out, add perks to, and we could see potentially 3 small survival maps if they added in transit, maybe even diner if they wanted to. And I'm excited for the future of the game. Like right now I'm quite happy with it. I'm quite happy just playing D Machine, a bit of Outbreak here and there. Firebase Z, to be honest, I have not touched in a while. Like really? I just like even though I think it's better than D Machine, I just haven't touched it. D Machine to me is kind of like the Shadows of Evil of the game. Like it's just fun to go back to and just play constantly, if you get what I mean. But like again, I'm just excited for like what the game's gonna bring. I think what would be a really cool idea is, I just thought this off the top of my head now, is obviously, you know how the whole premise of Outbreak is like, you know, in map, complete objective, move to next area.
Yeah.
What if Zombies Chronicles 2 was just Outbreak with transit, diaries, and buried? And the whole, because you know how that story is all self-contained, kind of, right?
Interesting.
Think about it. I know diaries to be a bit of a weird Outbreak map, kind of weird because it's so close quarters and stuff. Okay, but they can move this game mode over to other maps and like not just giant open world spaces. Like they could have this whole premise of certain zombie maps as well.
Funny enough, I can actually see that happening. Yeah, because you like you said, the self-contained story. You know, they kind of already teleport from location to location.
Exactly.
It's an interesting idea. You might.
What if? What if? Right? What if? Transit Easter egg you complete, you teleport to Diarise. Diarise Easter egg you complete, you teleport to Buried.
Yeah, but then I have to do the transit Easter egg.
Well, it won't be the transit Easter egg. It's a remake, not a remaster, right? So I feel like remember, this is Cold War Zombies, where Easter eggs can be done with probably chimps can complete the Cold War Easter eggs, right? And that's the way they're designed. They're designed to be easy, so anybody can complete them. Right, so forget about it. It won't be difficult. Whatever it will be, it will not be difficult.
I don't want to deal with the MPs and the Avogadro and the Easter egg again. Just
by the way, no offense to chimps who couldn't complete the D Machina and or Firebase the Easter egg. You guys, keep going. You'll get it eventually.
But no, like even if they were to do something really simple with transit, like don't know. Ride the bus around the map. I'd turn on like maybe there's some other way to do the Easter egg, but it's like really self-contained. Whereas
the escort mission could be escort the bus.
Could you imagine?
You just push the bus. That's all you do. You just push it around the map.
The bus runs off of Ethereum crystals, and you gotta like go to like the gas station that's at the diner and fill it back up, and then you gotta get it to the farm. I don't know.
Avogadro hits it. You know, the whole interaction. Oh, the electric thing got the bus. Take it to the gas station. I don't know why. I don't know why the Avogadro like making it stop when you gas or anything. But that's something they could do.
Yeah, it's definitely an idea. I the only thing I would say is there was too many discussions and leaks of Zombies Chronicles 2 content that we've, even since that discussion has gone away, we've always heard stuff that, you know, there's certain maps playable within Black Ops 4, certain remade maps that were playable at one point in the development of Black Ops 4 that was just scrapped because of everything that went on with that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll see the reemergence of that content one day or if it's just Gonzo Alonzo, but I think focusing on transit as something that is possible in the future here in Outbreak is probably the most likely option.
Yeah,
I agree. Yep, I think the thing is Outbreak, like Warzone, you can do so much with it. You know, you can, because Warzone has already had like previous zombies events. Like the one that's happening right now is not the only zombies event we had. We had the Haunting of Verdansk, if you guys remember that
was
back
fun.
in October.
That was
cool. And you know, you could have like special things like Blackout too, where Blackout had the Blight Fathers just kind of chilling in the map, and you know, the limited time event, kill the Blight Father and get a weapon blueprint or something like that.
Yeah,
you can do that in Outbreak, and it'd be really interesting to me, I think. But speaking, because I think they can do it, because Blight Fathers are already in Cold War because of Dead Ops Arcade.
Yeah,
and you know, I don't know. I think that's so funny that you have Brutus, the Gladiators, Blight Fathers, the Elephants from 9. They're all in Dead Ops Arcade. And so you could totally have a not quick time, like a mini boss time event. Oh, right. Wrath and Fury, elephants have breached the dimension and they're like going crazy. I know that would mean the Chaos storyline is tied into it, and that would be a whole mess of the storyline, but fuck it.
Who cares? Who cares at this point?
Who cares? Like, it's zombies. Let's just have fun. That's what I'm saying.
We have a question in chat saying, how do we feel about Easter eggs being locked on day one for the maps?
It's a good thing. I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. I think the one thing is the whole data mining stuff, but we didn't really see that with Firebase C. So
the only thing is because of the way Easter eggs are structured now, it doesn't really, the hunt doesn't really matter that much anymore, because it's going to be found within an hour anyways. With how easy the Easter eggs are now, I think D Machine was an hour. Firebase C was like an hour and a half, 2 hours after the Easter egg went live. It was already done. The days of 9 hours to solve an Easter egg, the days of Revelations, weeks to solve an Easter egg, will never be seen again if Treyarch continues their current philosophy. So in that way, the whole search for the main Easter egg, the whole hunt, has kind of lost its luster. It's the price we've paid for easier, more completable Easter eggs that more people would hopefully be able to complete.
Definitely.
Right? So that's we're talking about transactions, less personality, more content, easier Easter egg, less hunt, right?
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
It matters less, but I like that it's like a central time that it releases for everybody. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Overall, yeah.
To me, like, I gotta say, either way, I don't mind. Like, I think no matter what they do, if they lock it or they don't lock it, doesn't really matter to me, because again, like we just said, the Easter egg is gonna get solved anyways, and you know,
solved quickly.
It's gonna be solved quickly. So you know, whether it's new map DLC 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever just came out, and you can do the Easter egg immediately, still gonna be done in the same amount of time that you know it would be if you locked it or not. So it doesn't really change a whole lot. I mean, I can understand why people are upset about it, because I want to do the Easter egg, I want to figure things out, you know, hurry up, like, come on, you know, I get that, but I don't know, to me, I'm just like, whatever. I don't care personally. Either way works for me.
I would actually, I would go one step further and say, because of how little quest content, quote unquote quest content, there is in certain Cold War Zombies maps, I wouldn't even be against them unlocking the main Easter egg maybe a day or two after the game's release, then maybe the side Easter eggs a few days after that.
Interesting.
Or just because it would extend the duration in the feeling of new content beyond just 1 or 2 days after the map came out, right?
Yeah.
If you have something new releasing every few days in a Zombies map, it'll keep generating interest and people coming back to not only play but watch content to see what new is being discovered when new content is released in the zombies map. So that kind of staggered launch of new content within a zombies map is something that I don't know. I wouldn't be against seeing that in the future.
Definitely understandable. I mean, it's shoot. I mean, it's really interesting to me to see that, you know, I don't know about you guys, but when I played Firebase for the first time and I was on stream and I was looking around at the tiny little details of the map going like, is that a side Easter egg? What's that? What's that over here? Do I have to write that down? Do I have to remember that for later? Like, you definitely get your brain working, I think, in a way where it's like, you want to experiment with more, but at the same time, I think because things are so easy, our brains for zombies are like, how is this an Easter egg and how overcomplicated is this? And then Cosmic, you and I tried to hunt the Easter egg, right? Yeah. For Firebase C, and we're like, all right, so we gotta like do this complicated thing, right? And we're like thinking too much into it.
Right.
And like, the mimic step is like so like nitty gritty, and there's like a cut dry, which there is a cut dry method to it, but like we were really like, we thought there was something more to it. I remember we were just scratching our heads going like, what the hell?
What's going on? What's going on? Why is it not working? We're like around 30, we're catching mimics.
That is
locations.
But on the topic of Easter eggs, I will say something that I think Treyarch probably has to improve on here in Cold War is depth of their zombies maps, right? So like if I were to ask you which map has more side Easter eggs, Die Maschine or Firebase Z, what would you say?
Die Maschine probably.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. Probably.
Die Maschine has 8 total side Easter eggs. Firebase Z currently only has 6 that have been found. So kind of a worrying trend, right? And of those 6 Easter eggs that have been found, they were found within like 2 days of the game came out, 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So nothing really new has been found since then, which kind of sucks, man. Because if you're gonna make the main Easter egg so straightforward that it's done within 45 minutes of the map coming out, you've got to make the side Easter eggs more difficult and challenging to find. So it extends that duration and sense of discovery rather than the first 3 days and everything's solved, right? So or at least of course there could be content that we still haven't solved, and I did a video about that recently, but it's likely that everything that is straightforward enough to be solved has been solved.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. We actually have a comment here from Revived Gamer in the chat. I want to see what you guys think of it, because we're talking about the locking of the Easter egg and side Easter egg content. He said, isn't that artificial content locking, though? People already have massive issues with that in general, with COD and things that were meant for launch but held off till later. What do you guys think about that?
The time period matters. So, yes, it is artificial content locking, but the thing is, with zombies content, there isn't a lot of it to begin with. It just isn't. Like, sure, the maps are big, but in terms of actual quest content, there isn't a lot. So anything they can do to artificially extend that is good, but the time matters, right? Because you don't want to see them release it like, all right, so main Easter egg this week, and then all the side Easter eggs 1 week later. That's a little bit too long of a time period between releases. If they do, first day is the map, next day is the main Easter egg, 2 days later we unlock the side Easter eggs, then that's a little bit better, right? That's a little bit more condensed. It keeps things a little bit more fresh, right? It is artificial, extension of content, but because it's all condensed, it'll feel a lot less. People will have less gripes with it, I feel like.
Interesting.
With me, I think I agree with you, Cosmo HQ. I think the time period sort of matters. I quite like how we just have a day to play the map as it is. And when it comes to that Easter egg being unlocked, not everyone's running around like headless chickens, like how it would be when a map launched and like time period things like that coming out and all that stuff. But like I kind of like how there's chance for people to install the map, all the updates and get that done. Sit back, relax, play the map a wee bit, and then when the Easter egg goes live, people are like, okay, let's do this. We can do this now. We've seen the map already. We're not going in blind. We kind of have an understanding what the layout is, where everything is, and we can just enjoy ourselves. I think the problem with like prior games was like it was just such a it was good. It was good in its own right. It was just such a like everyone was headless chickens, you know, which is good. Like it's fun to watch, but like it's at the same time it's like.
I can definitely relate to that. I think you and I can definitely both relate to that. When we, like I said earlier, we were doing the Easter egg hunt for Firebase Z, looking around the map for the first time and spotting things going, that could be something. That's something there. Oh, that looks like it's standing out. Like for the truth serum, I remember you and I, when we were walking around, I was like, that thing on the table at the medical tent or whatever it's called, that's going to be used. And then when the Easter egg was unlocked, it was used. It's one of those things where it's like, you can get an idea of the map first and then jump into it. It could make the Easter egg hunts even quicker. And I think it could help a lot of people in the community, like really solve the Easter egg fast and have as much fun as possible really quickly.
Although,
but, you know, how does that... There's always a fine line.
But the chatter said it is an extension of content, right? But it just makes it so that it's the best of both worlds. Where before it was that mystery of running around like a headless chicken and the Easter egg is already enabled. Now it's you get to do headless chicken one day and you get to do Easter egg the next.
Yeah,
so it's that one extra day of discovery, right?
Yeah. And you know, I think to me at least, I think it definitely puts more of a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a specific word here. It puts more
structure,
weight on the value of an Easter egg, I think. Where if you lock it, it's like, oh, the big day is here. It's time to do the big Easter egg now. I mean, Easter eggs aren't like super big in Cold War, but you get my point. Right. You know, it's time to do the thing now. Which that can be a good part of it. But yeah, I definitely miss the old Easter egg hunts just because maybe just nostalgia, right? But I think like I said earlier, I don't really care personally either way if they're locked for a day or two or they're just boom right away you can do it. But no, there's definitely some interesting observations the three of us have made with this.
I mean, with old Easter eggs, I don't really even care about the Easter eggs themselves. I just kind of cared about what was happening at the end of the cutscene. That's what I really cared about. Like, don't get me wrong, Easter egg hunts are fun to watch and stuff, but like, I'm mainly there to see what happens next in the story. And with Cold War, I still get that. Like, I'm excited to see what cutscenes that we'll get now that we know there will be cutscenes, hopefully from now on, because of Firebase having a cutscene. But it's not so much something like an Ether, like the Rising Jacker outro cutscene, or like Zetsubo or Blood's outro cutscene, which is probably one of the best outro cutscenes we've had.
Right.
Like that Easter egg's god awful, right? And like that's something else I like about Cold War. It's going a direction where there's a lot more simple, and like we're not going to see a Blood of the Dead again because if the community says it wants more challenging Easter eggs, and that's fair enough, they do, and we should have something with a bit more challenge. But we kind of want somewhere in the middle between Cold War and Blood, because when there's blood, it's just not fun to do, you know?
Right.
Like,
yep.
That's my whole thing. I would rather have something I could replay a few times than I do once, because I'm never doing Blood's Easter egg again. Never, ever, ever. I'm never doing that Easter egg again.
Yeah.
Because it's not a fun Easter egg. It's just not fun.
Shit, I've never even completed it yet because I hate it. Like,
it's tedious as all hell. Blood is actually probably one. I always get flack for saying this. Blood is probably one of my top 3 favorite zombies maps of all time. The reason that is because I didn't really play much of Black Ops 2. So Blood was my first real genuine experiencing Mob of the Dead extensively for the first time. So that's part of the reason. But on that topic of Easter eggs, having nostalgia for the way they were at one point, I definitely feel that. Because that, for me, like you said, your most enjoyment of those Easter eggs was getting to the end, seeing the cutscene. I really like the sense of discovery and the sense of mystery.
So you're like the journey.
Yeah,
like the journey destination. Correct. Yeah.
But I will say, I want to do a video about this because I think it's really important for the future of zombies. I did a poll up on YouTube's community section of my channel, and there was 74,000 respondents. And the question was, do you think Easter eggs should maintain their difficulty level, or should they go to a level like they were in prior Zombies games? 55% said they should maintain their current difficulty level, and I think it was like just over 40% said they should be more difficult. So there's of 74,000 votes. That demonstrates a pretty hefty split in the Zombies community on difficulty of the Easter eggs.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think there's an interesting discussion to be had there. But yeah, I think I don't think Treyarch is going to change their course in terms, at least in Cold War, in terms of main Easter egg difficulty.
Yeah, not at all. And like going back to Blood of the Dead, I also like the map because again, Easter egg sucks, but the rest of the map I think is good. I think it's very underrated, and the Magma Gat is personally one of my favorite wonder weapons. And with the incorporations of the new areas, like the new industries building and Richtofen's laboratory, those areas are really cool to me. And because you have I think one of my favorite high round strategies where you use the trap in the new industries building, yada, yada, yada. The catwalk was something very innovative. Of course, I got my ass kicked on it the first time that I played Blood of the Dead. But other than that, it's pretty cool. And... just seeing more of the Warden's house and more lore there. I definitely think Blood of the Dead gets more hate than it deserves. But the reason why Blood of the Dead gets so much hate is because of the Easter egg. And that's why more people shit on the map. When there's actually a lot of good things about Blood of the Dead. So it's definitely underrated.
If Blood was like on Cold War, I think people would be a lot more taken to it. Because Black Ops 4, I think, again, that just put a lot of bad tastes in people's mouths. Like...
Yeah,
I think if Dead in the Night was on Black Ops Cold War, people would like it. Ancient Evil, maybe Voyage. I don't know. I didn't really play much of Voyage.
I don't know. Voyage might be a lost cause.
But like as far as visuals go, like or not visuals. So Black Ops 4's graphics were kind of a downgrade. Like or I noticed at least. But if they took over to Cold War, make it look a bit more crisp and like just the atmosphere from the maps and when you look at stuff, like when you're going from the catwalk, you're saying. All the way to like Alcatraz. Right. That whole part is such an experience because prior to that, we didn't really have anything like that. The closest thing we had like that, I guess you could say, was Moon in like Area 51, where there's that whole sequence. Yeah. That's probably the closest thing we've had since that, right? Going through that whole thing for the first time, fighting with your friends through the catwalk, seeing the Warden, like welcome our guests, whatever he says, that's such a cool sequence.
Definitely.
And as far as the layout, there's nothing wrong with Mob's layout. Maybe it's a bit big, but it's Mob of the Dead, for me personally, the reason that map failed in the general is just the engine.
The thing is too is like you're talking about the big sequences that happen mid map. That's I think that's why a lot of people like Garad Crovey, because Garad Crovey you have the house with the pack punch machine and the lockdown. That's pretty cool. I mean. There's no doubt that it's a really interesting feature. And also, I know people are starting to kind of warm up to Zetsubo a little bit more that I've noticed. Like the spider mini boss fight on Zetsubo no Shima. It's cool. Like little things in the map that make it memorable and to make it stand out.
Yeah.
The catwalk on Blood of the Dead is something that stands out too. So it's definitely been there.
Talk about personality and that lacking in Cold War. Zetsubo probably has the most personality. Maybe besides Shadows of all the Black Ops 3 maps.
Yeah,
Shadows' personality is... I mean, it's unforgettable. I mean, who can forget loading into the map and just hearing ba-na-na-na, ba-da-ba-da, and just you're like, woo, I'm ready to go.
Seeing the Shadow Man, you must put your hand on the stove. Like,
I will say about Shadows, I don't particularly like the map all that much. Its personality doesn't gel with my personal taste in terms of what I
Cosmic.
like.
You killed me.
But I can recognize that if your tastes are more in line with what Shadows of Evil represents in the time period, I can see why it would maintain a special place in your heart.
Yeah. Because
maybe it's just the way. Like I grew up with World at War and the OG zombies. And Shadows of Evil is not that. So in that way, that's
definitely.
Why it doesn't really align with the taste that I've grown up with. But I can recognize its innovation and its status amongst people that like it.
That's the thing. Like where I started taking zombies really seriously was Black Ops 2. Like that's where I started zombies. That's where I grew up, you could say, on zombies.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned the game. And so it's definitely a very interesting perspective to see. Yeah, people who started at World at War or Black Ops 1 from the people who started at Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 3.
Right,
and, Cosmic, I know Shadows of Evil is your personal favorite map of all time, if I'm not mistaken.
It has to be, yeah. I love Shadows. Just spawning in, the music, thinking back to like the old days where like that is all I play. I love Shadows. And Shadows was the first Treyarch. That was the first Treyarch launch I was at. Like Black Ops 2 is when I got introduced to the mode. Played a bunch of Origins, More of the Dead all the time. Played a bit of Transit, to be quite honest. And then going to Shadows of Evil, following the hype train, everyone posting reactions to the trailer, when reactions were actually good to watch. And then actually playing the map, and experiencing it for the first time. I just fell in love with it. I remember when Shadows came out, people were hating it. I was like, guys, how can you hate this? It's amazing, you know, like the atmosphere, the graphics, the overall gameplay, the Wonder Weapon. I love everything about this map. Why aren't you guys liking it? And they're like, oh, we like the Giant. Like, oh, good.
See, I'm those people. I'm those people. Yeah. But here's the thing. Looking back at Shadows and Horizon, I think part of the reason that we can look back at those so fondly is because they have what feels like almost all the other the other Black Ops 3 maps had this to a certain degree, but Black Ops 4 Cold War, those two maps, Shadows and Horizon, had depth, man.
Definitely.
You could look at like some ridiculous Easter eggs that are on Shadows that you're like, this is a thing. Like, what the heck, man? Like there's an incredible amount of content in those two maps packed into them that we haven't seen since in Zombies.
Definitely. I remember going like, what the hell with the trip mine upgrade? Like what a random piece of a map that no one would do, really, but if you're bored one day and you want to have a fun and unique experience, you can still do it. Like the Margot mask, and then you also got the Panzer claw helmet on Horizon. You know, it's just the personality that we talked about earlier.
I remember with like the whole like trailer and stuff for Shadows as well, people went in so much detail talking about it. Wasn't there like a whole thing where like Shadows of Evil is set in the same place as like where was it? I don't remember. There's a whole theory about it. But like as well as Shadows, like I think for Shadows as well, like the outro cutscene at the time, it was just so out there. Like I think the community, they knew they're in the same time period, but I don't think anyone expected to see like Richtofen just pop out of nowhere and be like, I'm gonna take this now, bye.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think anyone seen that coming. And all those little things as well, like the Mob of the Dead played.
Right.
You hear the characters cheering.
That's, I think that's what you were looking for, Cosmic, where people say that Mob of the Dead and Shadows of Evil are in the same timeline because of the Mob of the Dead plane of there's references to the Mob of the Dead characters.
Yeah,
like Jackie Vincent takes a swig and he's like, oh, you know, this stuff tastes like Finn O'Leary's whiskey. And it's like, okay, then that's there's a Mob of the Dead character reference right there. You know,
to me, Shadows of Evil feels more like Mob of the Dead than Blood of the Dead does, as far as personality goes. Me personally, I know Blood is literally Mob.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I can.
As far as personality goes,
too.
Yeah. Like it's just overall for me a really good map. Nostalgia is there. When I go back, I really enjoy it. But saying that, this is kind of off topic, right? But have any of you tried playing the older games after playing Cold War?
Yeah. 100%.
It's so hard. I can't. My hands don't adapt to it.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I tried playing Moon to get some practice, and I'm moving. I'm like, oh, this feels weird. This doesn't feel nice. This feels really bad.
Yeah.
Like I know it's smooth. I know it's smooth and it's fun and stuff, but the whole mechanics of like Cold War and the way you slide and the way you run and stuff in that game, because I want to practice for Zombie World Championship. I want to practice, and now I'm going back to these other games where I could get like round 100 easy, and now it's like, oh god, I can't react fast to this now.
Yeah, it spoils you, man. Cold War does.
Yeah.
It's like going back and playing. I played Custom Zombies a few weeks ago, and I'm just like, Black Ops 3. Like this is a game. Like it's like it's a weird. Yeah, it's definitely a weird feeling coming back to it and just going like, all right.
I think it feels weirder on controller for me. I think because I'm playing Black Ops right now I'm playing Black Ops 3 on my Xbox because I don't want to like use my PC for it, right? Because my PC is doing other stuff like editing videos and things like that. I think on PC I'd be okay playing Black Ops 3, but it's just for controller. Like it just doesn't feel nice, even for Black Ops 3's engine. I remember it being so good, like, and it is good. but
the FOV
it just
slider,
doesn't feel
right?
natural. Yeah, that's it. That makes me. I look at the map,
Absolutely.
like, oh my god, that looks awful.
Yeah,
how could I live without it before? Like
the FOV, man, it's crazy. It's crazy how that little detail changes almost everything. I mean,
because before you messed around with FOV, you felt so normal, but after seeing it for like, and even playing with it for like a month, you go back to it. It's like you have your pistol right in your face, like.
Yep.
And it's like I can't see half the screen because the pistol's in front of it. It's like, God, this is not good. I don't like this.
I feel like PC too is really suited for zombies in the sense that you sensitivity is more higher sensitivity is more controllable with a keyboard and mouse than it is on a controller. And with how often you have to swing around to look back at training zombies, then run forward to make sure you're not running into them. I do feel a whole lot more comfortable on keyboard and mouse than I do on controller playing zombies. And the FOV just adds to that.
It's just for high rounds, like, again, it's just not optimal to do them on PC because you have your PC for other stuff. Like, I feel like I'm better using my Xbox because I don't care about it. I can leave that on overnight if I want. My PC, I kind of want to look after. So I'm kind of stuck with using a console. But, like, I would much rather play on PC. Like,
I think just 100%. Because I'm so used to controller, right? Because I've barely played any games on keyboard and mouse. So I'm used to controller. Like, even on PC, I mean, you guys have seen my streams, everybody in the chat, and, you know, it's like, I still play Custom Zombies PC with a controller, because I can do keyboard and mouse, but I'm not very good at it. Like, I always try to, where's R? And I'm, like, hitting E or something, and I'm like, where am I going? Like, I feel totally weird.
It's like learning to drive manual, man. You just gotta, it's like, it's one of the, you gotta just do it, and then, I have a friend that's exactly like you, and he only plays on controller on his PC, so it's like, just play on keyboard. No, I don't want to. Okay. Well.
It's like, I've tried it multiple times, and it's like, I'll do it once in a while, but then it's like...
It's a transition, just like anything.
I definitely notice that control flow. Like, you know, if I mouse and keyboard, it doesn't have to be a good one. Like, you know, just the fact you can do this to move around.
Yeah.
I feel so much more control in the situation than with a controller now. I'll play Cold War Zombies fine with a controller. But, like, when it comes to Black Ops 3, I'm just like, man, I really, really need to play this game on PC instead.
You could plug in your keyboard and mouse to your PlayStation. You can do that.
Yeah, but that's kind of bad, though, isn't it?
this DPI settings and stuff, too, that you don't have access to just make your mouse feel weird when you do that.
Yeah, like, it feels like, how would you put it? Like, you know, I back in the day, right? I used to try and play Pokemon games on my phone, like on my old iPhone, right? Because you know how you can like port them over.
Emulators,
and right, and like there'd be such like a delay, and it just wouldn't feel natural at all. I feel like it'd be the exact same to that, where they're not made for it.
Yeah. And
they're trying to compensate. I was like, just not working. Like, no, but it's weird. Like going back to like Black Ops 3 and 4, Black Ops 2, I don't really feel like that bad, but like. Like Black Ops 3 especially, it's just like going back to it. Like as smooth as I thought it was, and it is, don't get me wrong, it just feels and like so unnatural to me. I've unlearned like all my skills over like 5 years. Because when Black Ops 4 came out, I feel like a lot of people just stayed with Black Ops 3. Like as far as people playing it. Like, and that's what I did. And now just going back to it. It's such a shame to see all my skills have gone.
Yeah,
well,
that's all I'm saying.
It definitely, like you said, Cold War does definitely spoil you. Makes you pay, because it lets you play loose and fast with just zombies in general. You can't do that in the same way in prior zombies iterations.
Same with mantling. I tried mantling when I went back. You know, Shadows of Evil. I was like, I want to jump down here.
Oh, like, that's funny.
Oh wait a minute. And same with Black Ops 4 as well. Like, Black Ops 4, when you put out a specialist weapon, it knocked all the zombies back. Black Ops 3 doesn't do that. Black Ops 3, you have to pull out the weapon and use it.
Could you imagine?
And it's like... I thought that was bad.
Yeah.
Like, man, I don't know.
That's funny.
I do not know.
Well, you know, it's definitely... See, the fact that we're even talking about that the games feel different is a good thing. You know?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like they've definitely achieved a certain level of personality with every game, or lack thereof, as we talked about earlier. You know, it's all opinion based, of course, but it's, you know, Treyarch definitely has done something special that you can tell each game apart, and each game has their pros and cons. And you know, the fact that we're even talking about like, this game makes me wanna.
It's a good thing
this
because
game challenges me with this game because I'm good at this game now. But then
it's not just a carbon copy, multiplayer for a lot of people, like boots on the ground stuff at least. Like, but I know Black Ops. I know there's better and worse games and stuff, obviously, but for a lot of it just repeated over and over and over.
Black Ops 3 multiplayer felt the same, or I should say Infinite Warfare multiplayer felt the exact same as Black Ops 3 multiplayer to me. Like, I just jumping in the air and I don't like, it's whatever. I get it, it's the time period, but I'm just like, not really my cup of tea.
COD multiplayer to me has felt the same for about a decade and a half, because the only version I continue to still play is World at War.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's all.
2.5 hours of World at War multiplayer last night. 16 versus 16 on PC on some of the World at War maps.
I love that.
I love that. There's so many people on. Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's popping off. There's a server, and because it's PC, there's a no 6v6 boring BS on PC, man. We're going 16v16 on Dome. Because you haven't lived until you played 16v versus 16 on Dome.
That's cool.
Here's the thing, right? I made a video reviewing World at War for 2021 if you should buy it. I went back to it, and I was so surprised with the multiplayer and how better the maps play with so many people on it. Like,
it's so much fun.
That, you know how some of the maps with tanks in it? There was one map with a tank. I can't remember the name of it, right? But playing with like 16 versus 16 instead of 6v6, night and day difference. Stuff happening constantly, grenades flying everywhere. It's just fun. It was fun.
I want to try this now. I really want to try this.
It's a lot of fun, man. I like it. And I feel like I'm good at it. Like I can play every game and be top of the team or top 2. If I play the current games, I would probably suck. So in that way, it's just like I'm used to this, so I like it, and I'm not used to new, so I don't like that. But I don't know.
Enough.
That's my experience currently with COD multiplayer.
Well, fair enough. And I think there's definitely a lot of people would agree with you there. A lot of people would agree with you there.
Yeah,
that, it's felt the same for the last however many years of Call of Duty.
There's a whole thing with the cycle, though, isn't it? Like where, a game comes out, people like it for like the first 2 weeks, then it's like, oh, this game's awful.
Yeah.
Then the last game's so much better, and then new game coming out, and like it's been on repeat. That's been on repeat for the past how many years? Like
since the beginning of time.
Well, yeah, there you go. I don't know. I think because when it comes down to it, like COD multiplayer is just so not basic, because each game, I have an argument where each game's different to the last to some extent. New guns, new maps, new kill streaks, maybe some things coming back and stuff. But overall, it's kind of like a new experience, right? But I think the main thing is just because it's all on the same engine. Like it's like FIFA. You kind of get what I mean? Like
the thing that you notice though is one last thing before we wrapped it up here today. Yeah. The thing that you notice though with Call of Duty multiplayer is when they bring something back from an old game, how much more excited people are than actually introducing new maps to these games. Raid coming back to Cold War, Express coming back to Cold War. You have all these fan favorite maps that are in the newer games. Those get more attention than the actual normal maps of the game that Treyarch wants to, put out there. So I think
they can't make good maps anymore. Honestly,
here's the thing though. I like some of the new maps, like Apocalypse for Cold War.
Oh, there you go. That's a good map. That is very good. I'll give you that.
So it's like, I think they still can make some good maps, but I think more people are just willing to play the older because that's just better, for multiplayer for the most part. So.
Well, in that way, because you're just not rolling the dice, right? New content comes out, rolling the dice, whether it'll be good or not. You bring something back that's generally universally acclaimed to be as a good map, well designed, liked already. You can't go wrong, right? It's you're not betting on whether it's going to be good or not. Then
that's why we've seen Nuketown for like the 7th time.
Yeah, true. You're not wrong there, but I think we talked about a lot of great things here on the podcast today. We had a lot of good talks about Cold War and just honestly everything Call of Duty related today. But yeah, do you guys have any other closing thoughts before we wrap things up for episode 39 of this podcast?
play World at War multiplayer if you don't like current multiplayer, but only on PC because it's the superior.
Only on
version.
PC. Don't play it on
Only on
Xbox because there's just hackers.
You're not gonna be able to find a game.
Very true.
Exactly. Well,
And you get all the DLC for free on PC if you buy World at War.
True as well.
Very true.
There you go. That's all you need. Just buy that game because that one's a lot better than the newer ones, and that came out like over 10 years ago. So,
Oh
but
boy.
to close things off, for me, I think I'm looking forward to the future of Black Ops Cold War. I think it's going to be very, very bright, and if they play their cards right with a map every season, it'll definitely be better than Black Ops 3, in my opinion. And also thank you to COD Zombie HQ for coming once again on the podcast. Last time we had you on, it was such a blast, and having you on again, it's been the exact same experience. Just a good time.
Exactly.
Always love talking zombies with you guys. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we love having you on the show, man. It's crazy to think about the last time you were on the show was Cold War wasn't even out.
Yeah. It feels like almost an eternity ago at this point, right? Even though it was just a few months.
Oh yeah. But yeah, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Division Z podcast. If you did enjoy and you want to see more out of us, everybody is linked down below in the description. If you want to check out the Division Z podcast merch, that is also linked down below in the description as well. And I think without further ado, that is it for this episode, and we will see you guys very shortly on another episode of the Division Z podcast. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.